Welcome to the Daily News channel. Please subscribe and like. In the world of war, people say having the strongest weapon is the key to winning. But in Lebanon, things are way different. The phrase "a state within a state" fits perfectly when talking about Lebanon's underground tunnels. Nasrallah once said these tunnels would swallow up Israeli tanks and never let them see daylight again. We're talking about tunnels stretching over 100 miles underground. So, what's the deal with these tunnels, and how did North Korea help build them? The tunnels have become the main weapon of Lebanese forces. Since the 2006 war, they've been digging tunnels all over southern Beirut, making it a nightmare for the Israeli army to operate there. The problem is, these tunnels are hard to reach because of the rough terrain and the level of secrecy around them. This has Netanyahu seriously worried that some of these tunnels might have even reached northern Israeli settlements, similar to what Palestinian factions are doing. Imagine settlers chilling at home, only to hear digging noises underneath and suddenly see fighters popping up in their living rooms. For the Lebanese forces and Palestinian factions, these tunnels are a huge deal. They keep the Israeli military on edge. Even though Netanyahu announced his troops are going into Lebanon's southern suburbs, they're still struggling to figure out these tunnels. Despite all the security breaches and hits Lebanese forces have taken, Tel Aviv hasn't even cracked the surface yet. This gives the Lebanese forces a huge edge, even against Israel's military tech and firepower. A video by Lebanese forces titled "Our Mountains, Our Treasures" features Nasrallah talking big about a massive network of tunnels, loaded with missile platforms and all kinds of military gear. The 4-minute video shows trucks, motorcycles, and troops in military gear cruising through the tunnels. Military analysts called the video a bit of a scare tactic, trying to freak out Tel Aviv with their underground moves. Even though Tel Aviv has the military advantage, these tunnels could turn into graveyards for their troops and equipment, as Nasrallah claims. According to the Alma Research and Education Center in Tel Aviv, quoting Fox News, Lebanese forces rapidly developed these tunnels after the 2006 war, giving them an upper hand over the Israeli army. Iran views North Korea as a pro when it comes to digging military tunnels. The North Koreans dug tunnels for military use in the demilitarized zone between the Koreas, aiming to sneak into areas north of Seoul. Their tunnels can apparently move about 30,000 troops an hour, so Lebanese forces picked up on this expertise. They beefed up their tunnels to handle armored vehicles, advanced weapons, and rocket launchers. Reports say Lebanon can launch all types of missiles from these underground networks, which are well hidden among rocks and mountains, making them tough for radars and spy planes to spot. All these techniques make a ground assault on Lebanon super risky, especially with the rough mountains and the tricky-to-reach tunnels. This has led to several Israeli commanders and full battalions getting caught in ambushes on Lebanese soil. There are two main types of these tunnels. The first type is the offensive tunnels that start around the Bekaa Valley near the Syrian border in southern Lebanon and stretch all across the south. Alma Research likened them to subway lines because of how hard it is to navigate or find them. The second type is the infrastructure tunnels, which serve as the first and second lines of defense for Lebanese forces against the Israeli army. They're basically Lebanon's first wall of defense in case of an attack. Even though these tunnels serve different roles, the infrastructure tunnels are said to be even more dangerous than the offensive ones. They house the heavy equipment and missiles that Lebanon would use if things got really heated with Tel Aviv. The infrastructure tunnels also serve as a place for the Lebanese forces to live and operate, and if Netanyahu's troops ever got captured, these tunnels could turn into underground prisons. This whole situation poses a huge threat to the Israeli army despite its advanced military hardware. Alma Center says the Lebanese tunnels are way more complex and deadly than those in Gaza. Even though the Israeli army hasn't figured out most of the Gaza tunnels yet, what's left is still a big deal. But in Lebanon, these tunnels are on a whole other level because they were built out of sight of the Israeli army, allowing Lebanese forces to use big machines and advanced tech for digging. Things are heating up between Tel Aviv and Lebanese forces, and all these tunnels might turn into a living nightmare for the Israeli army. Is Netanyahu's dream of cracking these tunnels and getting deep into Lebanon anywhere close to reality? Time will tell. With tensions rising, the Israeli army is finding itself in a tight spot. The Lebanese forces aren't just banking on the tunnels as a defense strategy, they're using them as a psychological weapon too. For the Israeli troops, it's not just about dealing with rough mountain terrain or well-hidden entrances. The fear of the unknown, of what's lurking below, and of a sudden ambush is a constant mental strain. The tunnels aren't just about storing weapons either. They're a whole underground ecosystem built to sustain long-term operations. These tunnels have sections for troops to rest, store supplies, and even strategize away from prying eyes. It's like a city beneath the ground, fully equipped to keep fighters moving and plans rolling without being spotted from above. But while Lebanese forces have been perfecting their tunnel networks, the Israeli army hasn't been sitting idle. They've been investing heavily in technologies to detect and collapse underground passages, from seismic sensors to advanced radar systems. Problem is, those tech advancements haven't fully cracked the code on Lebanon's tunnels. The rough mountainous landscape and the precise way these tunnels are built make detection a tricky game. It's not like the flat terrain of Gaza, where the army's methods have seen more success. And let's not forget about Hezbollah's media strategy. They're not shy about showing off their underground infrastructure, making sure Israel and the rest of the world know they're ready for a fight. Military analysts have pointed out that this is more than just propaganda. It's a calculated message. Hezbollah is saying loud and clear, we're ready, and we're not going down without a fight. For Israel, this is as much a battle of nerves as it is a battle of firepower. The role of Iran and North Korea in all of this can't be ignored either. North Korea's expertise in building military tunnels goes way back, and their collaborations with Iran, and in turn with Hezbollah, have only strengthened Lebanon's underground strategy. It's not just about digging, it's about creating tunnels that can support armored vehicles, provide secure launch points for missiles, and offer a hiding place that even the most advanced military tech struggles to uncover. Reports suggest that Iran has been a key player in funding and advising on these tunnel networks, providing Lebanese forces with a blueprint that's both functional and resilient. For the Israeli army, the stakes are high. They're up against an adversary that's not only well hidden, but also well prepared for a prolonged underground fight. Analysts say that even if Israel manages to breach the tunnels, holding ground would be an entirely different challenge. The narrow spaces, hidden traps, and strategic layout could turn every advance into a deadly gamble. And it's not just the military angle that's concerning. The presence of these tunnels fuels wider regional tensions. Israeli settlements close to the Lebanese border are constantly on edge, fearing the possibility of an underground incursion. Civilians are living with the anxiety that, at any moment, fighters could emerge from the ground beneath their homes. On the political front, Netanyahu is facing increasing pressure to deal with the tunnel threat. Critics within Israel argue that failing to neutralize these underground networks undermines national security, while opponents abroad see it as a justification for escalating military action in Lebanon. It's a complex web of military strategy, psychological warfare, and political maneuvering, and right now, there doesn't seem to be an easy way out. In the end, the question remains, can the Israeli army adapt fast enough to this new underground battlefield, or will the Lebanese forces' tunnels continue to be an elusive threat? With every new tunnel discovered and every new operation launched, the game is changing, and both sides are scrambling to stay one step ahead. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure, the story of Lebanon's tunnels is far from over. As the tension between Israel and Lebanon persists, both sides are ramping up their strategies and defenses. The Lebanese forces' reliance on underground warfare isn't just a defensive tactic, it's an evolving strategy aimed at keeping Israeli forces guessing. While the Israeli army keeps investing in high-tech countermeasures, the challenge remains, identifying and neutralizing tunnels that have been meticulously planned and camouflaged over the years. In southern Lebanon, these tunnels have shifted from being mere hiding spots to becoming operational bases. Analysts point out that Hezbollah's strategic use of these underground networks isn't just to safeguard weapons, but to maintain the element of surprise. The tunnels act as launch points, allowing fighters to emerge suddenly, disrupt enemy forces, and disappear before retaliation. It's a classic guerrilla warfare tactic, but on a whole new scale. For the Lebanese, the symbolism of these tunnels runs deep. They represent resilience and resistance against a militarily superior foe. This isn't lost on Hezbollah's leadership. They've framed these tunnels as a testament to their preparedness and an embodiment of their defiance, feeding into their larger narrative of resistance against Israel. The tunnels are a physical manifestation of Hezbollah's message. We're still here and we're not backing down. Meanwhile, Israel's leadership, particularly Netanyahu, is walking a tightrope. While he pushes for stronger measures to deal with the tunnel threat, he also faces internal criticism for the ongoing danger to Israeli settlements near the Lebanese border. The idea that fighters could pop up beneath civilian homes isn't just a security risk, it's a political hot potato. Netanyahu's administration has promised tighter security, but achieving that without escalating into a full-blown conflict is a delicate balancing act. Israeli intelligence efforts are now focused not only on finding and destroying tunnels, but on understanding the full scope of Hezbollah's underground infrastructure. Reports suggest that this network is far more extensive than originally believed, with connections reaching from key southern strongholds to the strategic Bekaa Valley near Syria. The scale of these operations points to long-term planning and external expertise, most notably from Iran and North Korea. Iran's influence in particular is a major factor. For years, Tehran has provided financial and logistical support to Hezbollah, enabling them to develop sophisticated military capabilities. Experts believe that Iran's involvement in designing and funding these tunnels is part of a broader strategy to establish a foothold in Lebanon and challenge Israeli dominance in the region. The tunnels aren't just a tactical tool, they're a statement of strategic depth, signaling that Iran's allies in Lebanon are equipped for a drawn-out confrontation. Despite Israeli counter-efforts, the tunnels remain a significant challenge. Military sources indicate that the detection of tunnels in rocky, mountainous terrain like southern Lebanon is significantly harder than in the sandy soil of Gaza. Furthermore, the Lebanese forces' experience over the years has given them the expertise to create tunnels that are not only well hidden but can withstand intense bombing and ground assaults. Hezbollah's strategic shift towards using tunnels also mirrors broader developments in asymmetric warfare. As traditional battlefields become increasingly dominated by drones, airstrikes, and satellite surveillance, the shift to subterranean warfare offers a new layer of unpredictability. Military analysts warn that the more Israel ramps up its above-ground surveillance and firepower, the deeper Hezbollah might go underground. The implications of this underground war go beyond just Israel and Lebanon. Regional players, including Iran, Syria, and even distant North Korea, are watching closely. The use of tunnels as a strategic deterrent could inspire other militant groups and states to adopt similar tactics, complicating future conflicts across the Middle East and beyond. It's a reminder that in modern warfare, it's not just about what you see, it's about what's lurking beneath. Looking ahead, the big question is whether Israel can find a way to counter this growing underground threat without being drawn into a prolonged and costly conflict. The stakes are high, not only for military planners, but also for civilians on both sides of the border. For now, Lebanon's tunnels remain a formidable symbol of defiance, a hidden force keeping Israel on edge and complicating any future military plans. In this unfolding drama, the story of the tunnels is as much about psychological warfare as it is about military strategy. It's a game of cat and mouse played in the shadows, with both sides trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Whether these tunnels ultimately turn into an insurmountable challenge for Israel or if they're exposed and dismantled remains to be seen. But one thing's certain, these underground networks have become a central chapter in the long and fraught history between Israel and Lebanon. The situation remains tense, and the stakes continue to rise as both Israel and Hezbollah refine their strategies. While Israel focuses on technological advancements and intelligence operations to locate and neutralize the tunnels, Hezbollah is doubling down on enhancing its underground capabilities. This ongoing underground battle is reshaping the rules of engagement in the region, forcing each side to rethink traditional warfare. From Israel's perspective, finding and destroying these tunnels is more than just a military objective, it's a matter of maintaining national security and public confidence. Netanyahu's government faces mounting pressure from citizens living in northern Israel who are increasingly worried about the possibility of tunnel incursions into their towns. Fear of an unseen threat has made security a top priority, and failure to address it could have serious political consequences for Israel's leadership. To counter the tunnel threat, Israel has invested heavily in new detection methods. Advanced seismic sensors, artificial intelligence algorithms for analyzing ground vibrations, and drones equipped with ground-penetrating radar are all part of the toolkit. However, these technologies are not foolproof. The Lebanese terrain, combined with Hezbollah's sophisticated construction techniques, makes pinpointing the tunnels a massive challenge. And even if the tunnels are located, breaching them without heavy casualties remains a significant risk. On Hezbollah's side, the use of tunnels isn't just about avoiding Israeli detection. It's a strategic move designed to offset Israel's superior firepower and military technology. By operating underground, Hezbollah forces aim to neutralize Israel's air and artillery advantages, forcing the fight into close-quarters combat where their tactics and knowledge of the terrain give them an edge. Analysts believe Hezbollah's strategy is rooted in a calculated long-term approach to keep Israel entangled in a conflict without clear victories. Furthermore, these tunnels serve as psychological weapons. By demonstrating their ability to operate undetected and strike at unexpected times, Hezbollah sends a message to Israel that conventional military superiority doesn't guarantee safety. This uncertainty puts continuous pressure on Israeli commanders, who have to plan for contingencies that go beyond traditional battlefield tactics. What complicates the matter further is the regional dimension. Iran's involvement in supporting Hezbollah's tunnel network isn't just about supplying arms, it's about exporting a military doctrine that leverages underground warfare as a means of deterrence. Iran's own experiences with tunnel warfare date back decades, and its advisors have brought that expertise to Lebanon, creating a model that other groups in the region might seek to emulate. For Israel, the stakes are existential. Allowing Hezbollah to maintain and expand its tunnel networks poses a direct threat to national security, as it opens the door to potential cross-border incursions, ambushes, and attacks on strategic positions. At the same time, military experts caution that launching a full-scale assault on southern Lebanon to dismantle these tunnels could trigger a prolonged and costly war, drawing in regional actors and destabilizing an already volatile region. The Lebanese tunnels also underscore a broader shift in modern military strategy. As advanced militaries like Israel's continue to invest in overwhelming firepower and surveillance, adversaries like Hezbollah are turning to less conventional means of warfare. By going underground, they sidestep technological surveillance, reduce their vulnerability to airstrikes, and maintain the element of surprise. It's a strategy designed to level the playing field and exploit Israel's weakest points. Internationally, this dynamic raises questions about the future of asymmetric warfare. The success of Hezbollah's tunnels could inspire other groups to adopt similar tactics, not only in the Middle East but in other conflict zones where state and non-state actors face significant power imbalances. The proliferation of tunnel networks could force military planners around the world to rethink traditional defense strategies and invest in counter-tunneling technologies. As of now, neither side seems willing to back down. Hezbollah's show of force through its tunnel networks has put Israel in a difficult position, where maintaining deterrence requires navigating a delicate balance between offensive operations and political stability. For Hezbollah, these tunnels are more than just a defensive measure. They're a symbol of resistance, a way to demonstrate resilience in the face of Israel's military might. For civilians, especially those living in northern Israel and southern Lebanon, the uncertainty adds another layer of anxiety to an already tense reality. On both sides of the border, people are caught in a geopolitical chess game, with the constant risk of the situation escalating into open conflict. Ultimately, the story of Lebanon's tunnels is part of a much larger narrative about evolving warfare and regional power struggles. The tunnels represent both a physical and symbolic barrier, one that separates not only two opposing forces, but also two different visions of security and sovereignty. Whether the Israeli army can adapt to this new threat, or if Hezbollah's underground strategy will continue to shift the balance of power, remains a critical question in the ever-evolving landscape of Middle Eastern politics. In this ongoing chess match, each side is waiting for the other to make the next move. The tunnels may be hidden, but their significance is anything but invisible. And as both Israel and Hezbollah dig in, literally and figuratively, the rest of the world watches closely, knowing that the next phase of this underground war could redefine the region's future. As the standoff between Israel and Hezbollah continues, the complexity of the underground warfare in Lebanon reveals deeper layers of geopolitical and strategic tensions. Both sides are playing a high-stakes game where every move could drastically reshape the military and political landscape in the region. For Israel, the primary focus is on countering the immediate threat posed by these tunnels. Military analysts emphasize that these underground passages present not only a tactical challenge but also a strategic conundrum. By using tunnels to potentially bypass Israel's border defenses, Hezbollah forces could launch surprise attacks or carry out raids deep into Israeli territory, creating a security nightmare for Israel's military planners. In response, Israel's defense establishment is increasingly leaning on its intelligence and engineering units to develop more effective countermeasures. Recent reports indicate that Israel is investing heavily in specialized anti-tunnel units and integrating cutting-edge technology to identify and destroy these underground networks. They're deploying sophisticated underground sensors, robotic drilling devices, and AI-driven data analysis to track even the faintest signs of tunneling activity. Yet, these measures come with their own limitations and risks, given the depth and complexity of Hezbollah's network. Beyond the immediate security concerns, the political implications of the tunnel crisis are profound. Israel's government, led by Netanyahu, is caught between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, they face domestic pressure to neutralize the tunnel threat and secure the northern border. On the other, launching a major military operation in southern Lebanon could trigger a regional backlash and escalate into a broader conflict with Iran and its allies. Hezbollah, meanwhile, is playing a long game. The group is aware that its tunnel strategy is not just a military tactic but also a powerful psychological tool. The fear of the unknown, combined with the uncertainty of where and when a tunnel might surface, has a destabilizing effect on Israeli society. This psychological dimension is crucial for Hezbollah, as it seeks to reinforce its image as a formidable force capable of standing up to Israel's military might. Adding to this complexity is the role of regional and global actors. Iran's involvement in funding and advising on Hezbollah's tunnel network is a clear indication of its broader strategy to project influence and challenge Israeli dominance in the region. Tehran views its alliance with Hezbollah as a key pillar of its regional power, and it has consistently provided financial, logistical, and technical support to bolster the group's capabilities. This support is not limited to military expertise. It also extends to media and propaganda efforts that shape perceptions of the conflict. North Korea's influence, though less direct, has also played a significant role in shaping Hezbollah's underground strategy. Reports of North Korean advisors assisting in tunnel construction are part of a broader trend of knowledge transfer between states and militant groups. For Hezbollah, adopting North Korean tunnel techniques is about more than just digging. It's about creating a durable and adaptable underground infrastructure that can withstand the full weight of Israeli military pressure. The growing sophistication of Hezbollah's tunnel network reflects a shift in the group's overall strategy. Where once it focused primarily on rocket attacks and guerrilla warfare, it is now investing heavily in subterranean operations to expand its range of options in a future conflict.